Hello, dear students, very good morning. We have been doing My Last Duchess, the famous dramatic monologue by Robert Browning. Yesterday, we completed the lines 20 of this poem, and today we will go with the lines from 21 to 35 to understand them, to get the meaning, and to follow. So, what we have done up to now is that there is the Duke of Ferrara and the envoy who has come from the Count, and both of them are meeting in a drawing room. The envoy has brought a new proposal of marriage of Count's daughter, and the Duke is a widower, as you know, and he is interested in marrying the daughter of the Count. Therefore, the Duke takes the envoy into his gallery and shows him the portrait of his last Duchess. Duchess is the name of his previous wife. So, the Duke describes the very nature of that last Duchess, how she was, how she looked, and why did she die or she murdered. That was the point. So he is describing the portrait of the last Duchess. What a beautiful, what a smiling face is there in this portrait. The envoy looks at her, at that, and tries to question the Duke about the smile that was in the cheeks of the Duchess. He could not understand how such a glance could come into the cheeks. So he imagines it might be because of her husband, the Duke. But here, the Duke clears him that no, it was not due to her husband's presence only that such a glance came into her cheeks, but it was something much more, that she was impressed, that she was affected and gave the smile. So anyone who would come into her contact or who would come to her and would appreciate her, would speak to her, would give her something, she would give the same smile to him, same thanks to him as she would give her husband, the Duke. And that was the problem. That was the problem that the Duke could not understand. The Duke did not want that the same attitude should be there by his wife. He wanted that something special attitude and behavior should be given by her to her husband, the Duke. And this was perhaps the reason that she was murdered by the Duke himself. So let's go with these lines. What is there? She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed. She liked whatever she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Sir, it was all one. My favor at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west, the bow of cherries some officious fool broke in the orchard for her, the white mule she rode with round the terrace, all and each would draw from her alike the approving speech or blush at least. So these are the lines we have for our explanation, for our meaning to understand. The Duke is describing, although the question was not being asked by the envoy, because we see that this is a monologue, and in the monologue there is no interruption from the other side. Monologue means the speaker speaks either to himself or to a silent listener. So here the envoy is a silent listener, and the Duke himself is replying, feeling that the envoy might wanted envoy might want to know about that, or that would ask the same question as the earlier visitors used to do. So here the Duke speaks. He tells about the Duchess, what kind of nature she had. So he says, she had a heart, how shall I say? I cannot describe what kind of heart she had. Means that she had a very, very kind heart, very humble heart. Too soon made glad. Her heart was such that it becomes happy. It became happy, glad, very soon, quickly, too easily impressed. As well as her heart was very easily impressed by anyone or by anything. It means her heart was so kind, so glad, and it was easily impressed. She liked whatever she looked on. Then he says that she liked everything. She liked whatever means everything. She looked on. Whatever she used to look on, she would like that. She would be pleased by that. She would be impressed by that. And her looks went everywhere. And her eyes went everywhere. That is, she would see on all sides, on everyone. And she would like everyone, everything. She would be impressed by everyone as well as everything. Sir, it was all one. Again we have the word sir. The Duke speaks to the envoy as sir. Sir, it was all one. Means the attitude, the behavior, the likeness, the impressions, the lookings, everything was all one. The same behavior, same attitude was of the Duchess. My favor at her breast. She also did not give much importance even to him, that is her husband. She even did not realize and recognize his favor. Here Duke means to say that he has favored upon her by marrying her, whereas he belongs to a 900 years family, a dignified or a family of dignities, highly cultured family. But she did not give that much response to him as it should have been or as it was expected by the Duke. Then the Duke describes the dropping of the daylight in the west. What things would please the Duchess? So he describes some things. Just like the dropping of the daylight in the west, sunsetting time. So the sunsetting time in the west would also please her. The bow of cherries some officious fool, or if by chance some officious fool would bring some bouquet or flowers for her, getting from the orchard, plucking from the orchard, she would also be pleased having that, and she would also be pleased with the person who would bring that. She would give the same smile to him as well. She would give the smile to her husband. She rode with round the terrace all and each, and she would also ride that round the terrace. She would feel pleasure and delight when taking a round or riding of a horse round the terrace, would draw from her alike the approving speech. And these are the some examples, some incidents, some situations, some things that she would like, that these things would please her, and she would draw from her alike approving speech. And looking at these things, looking at these men, either she would say, "Thank you very much," that is in the words, or she would blush. She would smile at them, looking at them, getting whatever they have brought for her. The presents, the gifts that were given to her. She would be pleased by everything. So, this is that we have in these lines. You have in this PDF the explanations, the same that I have already spoken to you. That is, they found something extraordinary in the passion conveyed by that look. The Duchess was of simple nature. She was one who could be easily pleased. She never made any distinction between the things or person. That is, she would never made any difference or the distinction between the things and persons. That is, she would give the same smile. If any person would bring anything to her, if any person would meet her, if anything was given her, she would give the same smile as she would give her husband. That is, she would make no difference and distinctions between others and her husbands. And Duke, who could not appreciate such unselfish joy, here speaks of it with implied contempt. So the Duke did not like all that. Duke was angry with her. Why he was angry? Because he wanted the special attention of her towards him. Because she was his wife. Because he was her husband. Therefore, a special attitude and attention should be given by the Duchess to him. But that was not there. For the Duchess, everything was equal. The Duke was annoyed with the Duchess because she did not feel thankful to him for the honor he bestowed on her by marrying her, that I have already spoken. Duke also failed to understand how she could equate his gifts with everybody's gifts. So, the Duke could not understand how she take other gifts equally as his gifts. How she give the same smile to other people who bring the gifts, and he, the one who gives her the gift. So, according to the Duke, the Duchess was graceful for the least kindness done to her. And when she thanked people, the Duke, though did not feel angry at that, but did not, however, feel happy. Although he did not feel angry, when she would please with others, she would laugh at others, she would give the smile to others. But he also did not like that. He did not feel happy over that. He says that everyone could rouse her gratitude. He mentions some acts like that we have already discussed. All these acts would impress her, and she would approve them either by giving words of thanks or giving a smile. So, this was the explanation of these lines, the meaning of these lines. I hope you have understood very well. Now, come with these 5 lines more. And what are these? She thanked man good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift. Who would stoop to blame this sort of trifling? So the idea in the whole poem is running the same. And the idea is that there is a contrast and difference between the character of the Duke and the Duchess. The Duchess is very smiling, very pleasing, liking everyone, having happy mood, whereas the Duke, who is proud of his family, who is egoistic, who is arrogant in his behavior, who does not like his wife happy. So, this is what we see when you analyze the character of these two beings, the Duke and the Duchess. You will differentiate, you will contrast. So, let's see these lines. She thanked man. Good. So, the Duke again explaining the envoy about the Duchess. He is trying to convince the envoy who has come with a marriage proposal that his last wife was neither cultured nor refined but an ordinary woman. Because she would give the same reply to everyone. So here Duke says she thanked man good. It's okay. It's okay that she would thank man. He didn't mind when she thanked people for their good acts, for their good gifts. But thanked somehow, I know not how. And he says, but it's okay. She thanked man, but she thanked somehow in a manner, I know not how. I don't know in which manner she would thank everyone, as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name. He says that she would also thank me. She would also smile at me. But she did not give him a special treatment while thanking. She ranked my gift of a 900 years old name. He says that he belongs to a family. He is proud of being a family that is 900 years old, ancient family. He is proud of that. So this lady, my last Duchess, did not respond him in that way, that a man who belongs to such an old family married her. So the Duke says it looked as if she valued them more than her husband's long distance. It seemed as if she was giving more value to other persons than her husband. Because he found that whatever he conferred upon her, a name that is 900 years old, he belongs to an Italian noble family, but he was shocked to see that she treated him at par with other people, equally with other people. She made no difference. And in this way, he says that she disgraced his royal name and lineage. In this way, she did not give the respect and regard to his name, to his lineage. That is, she didn't bother about his dignity and royalty. And it was a mean act by the Duchess. He says it was a low act. It was a mean act. It was not fair act by Duchess. Then he says, the Duke says, that he could pointed out it to the Duchess, who might have corrected it if she thought it fit. He could tell her about this behavior, about this treatment. He could pointed out it to her, but he did not. Or it was also possible that she might have corrected herself if she thought. But he did not. He never corrected her. He never told her to change her attitude and behavior. He did not like to do so because it would have been his insult that he had done so. कि अगर वो ऐसा करता, उसको कहता, उसको सुधारने के लिए कहता, तो ये एक तरह से उसकी इंसल्ट होती कि वो इतने बड़े परिवार से, इतनी बड़ी फैमिली और इतनी पुरानी फैमिली से बिलोंग करता है, वो कैसे उसको कह सकता है कि तुम ये जो कुछ कर रही हो, अर्थात तुम्हारा जो व्यवहार है वो इतना जो है कि डिफरेंट है, और ये जो है कि यू आर नॉट गिविंग द इम्पोर्टेंस टू योर हस्बैंड बट यू आर इक्वली ट्रीटिंग हिम. So the Duke felt that it was beneath his dignity to find faults with such a careless, flippant attitude. So if he had said, if he had corrected her, that would be the action of below dignity for her. And finding her faults and correcting her, definitely it was useless for such a careless, flippant attitude. And this attitude, he says, irritated him, but he never chose to correct her. That is, he never said anything to her for correction. So this is what we have in these lines 31 to 35. So far the critical note of these lines are concerned. We see that the Browning shows that the last Duchess had a far more intelligent and aesthetic outlook than the Duke. That I told you, you have to compare and contrast the character of the Duke and the Duchess. Then you will find that Duchess is more beautiful, has more aesthetic outlook, she is more intelligent than the Duke himself. The Duke is arrogant here, the Duke is egoistic here, the Duke is proud of his family only here, the Duke is also, we can say in the end of this poem, a murderer of a lady. She had a mind which was alive to the beauty of nature and the man. So she had a mind that was equal to the beauty of nature, that everyone would like to please, everyone would like the beauty of nature, appreciate that. In the same way, symbolically she was the beauty of the nature, and therefore everyone would like her, would get pleased the company of her. Here we had the word, the sentence, I chose never to stoop, means here Duke reveals his supreme egotism, his consciousness of superiority. He says that he never chose to stoop her, to stop her, to correct her, because if he said that, that would be below his dignity. So such kind of attitude we see here of the Duke. And this is all has been mentioned, told by the Duke himself to the envoy, in order to please the envoy so that he could get married with the daughter of the Count. And the envoy has come from the Count, having a proposal of marriage of his daughter. Dear students, I hope you have well understood it. Now, thank you very much, and in the next video or lecture, we will be able to finish this poem. Till then, bye bye. Thank you very much.